إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Er hat die Brücken abgebrochen in Holland. Er wollte auswandern, das war der letzte Flug, den er machen wollte. Das war der Flug in sein neues Leben.
Kita boleh terima lah itu abang kita yang terbaik kan. Antara kita kot. Adik-beradik yang terbaik lah antara kami.
Shooter the Boeing MH17 is like shooter our country. Hi, hello. Welcome to my personal lab. My company specializes in electronic microchip. My name is Muhammad Azhar. Why I'm like to know the real things about the disaster of MH17 because MH17 case is something wrong about the investigation. We are technical, we just say yes or no. Yes, it's true. No, it's liar. We want the facts, you know. We don't want a propaganda.
So when did you decide to create this page on Facebook?
Right after the crash, the Malaysian people blame Russia. You know, blame Russia, give book to separatists to shoot down MH17. Because the local media say Russian book shoot down MH17. Local media followed by West media. I collect all the news in the world, okay, and put in the page of MH17, and the people will see. That's why a lot of the Malaysian people like our page, and they want to know what happened, what the news story. The Captain Wan Amran. He's the captain of the MH17. We go to talking for his relative, but we cannot interview his wife because his wife now is sick.
What's wrong with her?
She something like mental problems after trauma, after her husband was dead in MH17.
Oh, at the first, the youngest son couldn't accept also. He was always saying that the father will come back. The father is just sleeping there, will come back.
You talked to his wife. How is she doing?
She still feels the loss. So once in a while, she will talk to us in the Facebook and in the message, telling that she still thinks of the husband.
He was a good man, good brother.
Dia janji dengan saya, dia nak bawa saya jalan. Sebab dia nak bawa kapal terbang kan. Tak sangka dia pergi. Saya bawa balik dia dengan kapal terbang dari Amsterdam. Dia janji saya nak bawa pergi luar negara lah. Tapi saya bawa balik dia daripada Amsterdam.
So they showed you the body?
Dia orang tunjuk dalam kamera. Kita tengok dalam kamera, tengok gambar dia, semua body lah sampai kat sini lah. Kita tengok dari atas sampai kat bawah, complete lah. Dia tak ada cedera ke apa ke, dia cuma sikit lah ada kesan terbakar sini. Sikit lah, saya masih kenal dia lah. Yang mandikan jenazah tu pun dia kata antara mayat yang terbaik lah. Dia body yang complete lah.
We were not allowed to open. Nobody.
Not allowed by who?
Not allowed by the God. Nobody must see the God. All the corpses which came back were not allowed to open.
You know, I went to the crash site because you know the Dutch collected the debris only 4 months after the crash.
Yeah.
I went there 2 months after.
Oh really?
There were debris and everything.
Everything.
And I saw the pilot's chairs.
You saw the pilot chair.
In the captain's chair and the pilot's chair, there were 2 chairs. And it was terrible feeling.
Terrible feeling, yeah. We just want to know more news about MH17. When everybody's keeping quiet, even the government also is not telling something about it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So you don't have a person in
in
government to call and to ask for news?
But we don't blame anybody also. We just wait for it. And we hope that somebody will come up with something, especially from the backboard, because we want to hear what's happening actually.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب.
From the very beginning, only one version of what happened was considered by the West, that MH17 was shot down by separatists with a Buk surface-to-air missile launcher.
One single air-to-air missile on a plane the size of a 777 Boeing would just switch off the engine. Air-to-air missiles have just 3 to 5 kilograms of high explosives. You know, this is now a surface-to-surface missile, so it's not a surface-to-air missile, but the design is quite similar to that of the Buk, because you also have a propulsion part back here, and you have the warhead here. And for the Buk missile, there's 70 kilograms of explosives sitting here. We remodeled the Buk system with our simulation tools, potential flight paths, and it is a plausible explanation that a Buk system could have brought down that aircraft.
You can study the whole world behind your laptop, but the best thing you can do is you check the spot yourself. And in the 1 week I was there, I learned more about MH17 case than the whole year behind my laptop. They call it Delfts Blauw. And it must have been bought by one of the passengers. And the guy I interviewed, he gave it to me. He said, "You're the first guy from the West who listens to me and takes me seriously." I cannot keep the subjects I got from the crash site, like I have shrapnel, I have part of the Boeing. And you can see it was hit, this piece, by an explosion probably. And it was hit all 4 sides at the same time. They were pressured, which I find very strange from an outside explosive, but I'm not the expert. But I think possibly this could be a very important piece of evidence. I offer it to the official investigators. They don't even contact me to make an appointment to pick it up.
How long has it been?
Now it is more than 3 weeks ago.
Over the past year, Russian media has been voicing a different version, namely that the Malaysian Boeing was shot down by a Ukrainian military jet.
I thought that the story of a plane attacking the Boeing is a propaganda of Russia. I stayed in Kiev before and with activists there. When I reached the place at the crash site, my first impression was quite eye-opening, because I saw that the mass media coverage saying that, or claiming that it's a very large field of 35 or even 50 square kilometers of wreckages, which gives a conclusion for people that the plane was smashed into pieces in the air, is not true. We have actually 2 places where MH17 came down. I started to ask people around there, what did you see, what happened?
Я выбежал во двор, на улицу побежал посмотреть. И видел, как самолет, далеко-далеко самолет выпустил ракету. И потом из-за тучи, из-за тучи уже падал самолет кувырком. Вот. И там одна часть падала на землю, а вторая часть улетала дальше, на другой поселок.
This man says, Markus Benzmann, journalist from Germany, that Buk missile was shot from this field. Did you see a trail in the sky in this day?
Видели вы след от Бука?
Нет, следа от Бука я не видел. Ни с какой стороны.
I wanted to find somebody who saw the chemtrail.
Yeah, I want to find that person too.
But I didn't.
Dutch journalist Mr. Akkermans, however, insists that 4 months after the tragedy he found parts of a Buk missile among the MH17 fragments.
What about evidence that were brought to you by Mr. Akkermans?
It's hard to say anything about these fragments. They could be from anything. So it was not that convincing. I would not say they are very hard evidence. They are just one small piece of a big puzzle.
Do you know who did a chemical analysis of Mr. Ackermann's fragments?
No, I think you should ask Mr. Ackermans for that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk to us. That's interesting.
That's strange.
He refused an interview.
Don't have anything to hide, and I would rather have the whole story explained. So I'm trying to figure out what actually happened. And I'm open to any theories.
Sadly, other Western experts also refused to be interviewed.
Не только мое мнение, а многие видели, что именно под гражданскими летали военные самолеты. Особенно после обеда гражданских рейсов очень много было здесь. Пролетают гражданские, начинается бомбежка.
Выхожу, раз самолет, оттуда летит боевой, чуть-чуть выше этого леса, 50 метров. А потом я глядь, вот этот пассажирский, оттуда, и он теперь раз вот так, и навстречу пассажирскому, бух его сюда, в передок. И он сразу вспышка, раз голубой, а потом черный.
А пассажирский на какой высоте был?
Ну, он тоже от Куряника тоже метров 100, он не высоко.
Но был целый, правильно?
Ну, целый, да, еще целый был. Ну, вот это сам вентилятор, я ж видел, это хорошо, я ж вот так смотрел, что вот это само как раз это и вентилятор был. А вот тут уже его добывал.
Получается, несколько раз по самолету били?
Может, я не знаю, как там оно было.
John Kerry immediately said, we saw the missile start, we saw it fly, we saw it hit the plane. We have all the overwhelming evidence Russia is behind this. Okay, then show us the evidence. So it's almost a year ago since the crash happened, and still we don't know anything. We don't even know for sure what the weapon is.
What did they tell you in Amsterdam? What they are doing there with these pieces?
They wouldn't comment. Last time we were there in October, we were told that the final report will come out on 15th of June.
Yeah.
And now they postponed it to October.
You know that for sure, that it was postponed.
We wrote them an email, and it came back that the procedure is complicated, we need more time.
When I look at my country, the Netherlands, as an official head of the investigation, we are part of NATO. We are part of an anti-Russian alliance. So we are not independent investigators. It is something that the United Nations should have investigated, and not a biased country like the Netherlands. How can you do an investigation if Ukraine, one of the possible murderers, is part of the investigation and delivers evidence that he collected? I mean, this is ridiculous. Well, what is proved is that the Ukrainians, they fired at the crash site with heavy mortars, with rockets, and there are craters like 3 meters deep. And really you have to ask yourself, who benefits from hiding evidence and from trying to distort the investigation. It's the party who did it.
I'm not a politician, I represent families in an aviation crash. The question that must be asked, where did the system aviation fail? Only 2 days before this crash occurred, a military plane was downed by the rebels. What was in that situation the responsibility of the Ukrainian government? Close the airspace for civilian flights. Aviation cannot prevent rebels from doing anything. What they can do, they can protect it. And who was responsible for the failure of this mechanism? The answer is very clear. It was the Ukraine, because each government is responsible for its airspace. By closing the airspace up to the level of 10,000 meters, they showed proof that they had understood the gravity of the situation. And at the same time, they showed that they didn't draw the real consequences from it. Others knew, others understood and told them, but they didn't react.
They didn't want to lose profit?
And if you close the airspace, it's a hard consequence, of course. It shows that you, as a government, have lost control over your territory, and this is kind of loss of reputation. And not just loss of profit, but loss of reputation. I think more families should join this idea to go against Ukraine, because they obviously have failed. Whoever has also contributed to the crash, whoever has started this rocket to go into the air, it's a different story. I'm not satisfied that these institutions like accident investigations, which have a certain purpose, now are spoiled. They're getting into this rush of political considerations. It doesn't do their job independently. They are influenced, obviously influenced. I had threats on email.
Who was it? Just a
Ukrainian citizen. He claimed to be Ukrainian, and he was upset about my step to sue the Ukraine, and he said, I'm a Nazi and blah, 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 and last sentence, be careful what you do. So this was quite an open threat, I think, and other mails were not that hard, but similar.
Why did you decide to join the lawsuit against Ukraine?
Es war Warnung da, es ist ein schwieriges Gebiet, egal von welcher Seite es kommt, aber es ist ein Problemgebiet, wo keine Passagiermaschinen hätten rüberfliegen sollen. Und da hat die Ukraine meiner Meinung nach eine ganz erhebliche Schuld.
Denise, tell me a little bit about your father.
Er war Türsteher in einem Coffeeshop. Er hat, also das Letzte, was ich von ihm weiß, ist, dass er seine ganzen Sachen abbrechen wollte. Er hat sein Haus verkauft, weil er eine Frau kennengelernt hat, letzten Sommerurlaub in Bali. Er wollte sie jetzt heiraten. Er wollte jetzt dahin, um auszuwandern, um in den Niederlanden alles hinter sich zu lassen. Er war 53 Jahre alt.
Were you going to go to their wedding too?
Wir haben eine relativ schwierige Familiengeschichte. Ich habe 20 Jahre fast keinen Kontakt gehabt. Ich habe ihn die ganze Zeit gesucht. Und er hat, wie ich jetzt im Nachhinein erfahren habe, mich auch gesucht.
Only after his death, yeah, you saw your father?
Ja. Ich habe ihn das erste Mal, erst nachdem er gestorben ist, habe ich ihn das erste Mal gesehen, wie er jetzt aussieht, wie er gelächelt hat. Als die Polizei hier vor der Tür stand, mir das gesagt hat, für mich ist eine Welt zusammengebrochen. Ich wollte ihn ja finden, ich wollte ihn ja kennenlernen, aber so hatte ich ja keine Chance mehr. Ich weiß nicht, da gingen 1000 Sachen durch den Kopf. Vielleicht wäre er dann nicht in die Maschine gestiegen, wenn er mich gefunden hätte. Vielleicht wäre er hier geblieben.
Are you satisfied with how the investigation is going?
Nein. Eigentlich geht es zu langsam. So wie ich das verstanden habe, ist schon mehr bekannt, was aber nicht der Öffentlichkeit preisgegeben wird, auch nicht den Angehörigen oder sonst irgendjemandem. Es wäre schön, wenn das alles in der Öffentlichkeit stattfindet, diese Aufklärung, und nicht im Geheimen und dann erstmal geguckt, wie weit können wir das öffentlich machen. Es sind viele Spekulationen, wo aber nichts Konkretes gesagt wird. Ich bin mir ziemlich sicher, es ist schon mehr bekannt, es wird aber niemandem gesagt.
Even a year on, lots of passengers' personal belongings and plane fragments can be found on the MH17 crash site.
Ничего себе находочка. Обалдеть. Ехали на машине?
На мотоцикле.
На мотоцикле? Вот по этой дороге?
Да, по этой дороге. Обратил вскользь вниманием, вот, что-то блеснуло такое, как алюминий. И вот смотрю эти обломки. Подошел поближе, глянул с отверстиями разными. Форма разрыва какие-то непонятные. Полоса, тут кружок.
Да, это нужно, конечно, комиссии отдавать. Такой вещдок. Алексей, давай отвезем эти обломки к главе вашего района. Андрей, помоги, пожалуйста, часть этих. Наталья Васильевна вы, да? Очень приятная Яна. Часто вам приносят?
Ну, в последнее время меньше.
И вы потом их куда?
Голландские эксперты связываются регулярно по телефону, просили, что если что-то найдем, храните себя по мере возможности.
Ой, очень хорошо.
There's too much secrecy regarding investigations, which is not very satisfactory. I cannot understand why the Malaysian government did not ask for the black box or for the wreckage that was found in Ukraine. It is quite unusual. Involvement of Malaysia is limited. And local media has not made a full coverage. They never send any team to take pictures there or to investigate. Local media, the mainstream media, is very much under the control of the government. Almost immediately after the plane was brought down, America accused Russia and then applied sanctions against Russia. We don't accept news like that.
So you don't accept accusations against Russia?
No, I don't think even the government accepts. We are very neutral about this because there is no real evidence. One of the suspects of shooting down the aircraft could be Ukraine because, well, they were fighting and we don't know who actually fired the missile, if it was the missile.
Do you think this investigation is carried out objectively?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It was the last 10 days of Ramadan fasting month. I was at home with my parents. Somebody said that MH17 got shot down. My cousin was the co-pilot. I just wish that it was not him, but then they said, what is his flight? And we were all asking. He said, it's MH17. And my heart dropped.
Malaysian 12.8, Malaysian 17. Pushback and clear for startup.
Malaysian 17, when the EasyJet behind is clear, push forward roll.
When the EasyJet is clear, clear for pushback, Malaysian 17.
We went to his house, which is nearby, about 7 minutes drive. Because the wife is there, she was alone, I think, at the time. Well, she was crying when I reached there. She was really crying. She was on the prayer mat, praying non-stop for the husband to come back. This is a very special memory of him, which he made this, it was last year, first officer, as if he knows that he's going to end his life there. You see? When you could be a captain, you know, but he just made the frame. He was 26, turning 27 in 3 days. He was married for 1 year, 3 months.
And did they have kids?
No, not yet, but his wife was pregnant that time. She just got pregnant. And it was not announced yet to the family. When he came back from Amsterdam, on the flight, he was planning to have like a breaking a fast dinner to make the announcement of his wife's pregnancy. Right now, his wife went back to her hometown to live with the parents. She gave birth to a baby girl in January, late January. She has to be strong, you know, for the child, the baby. My cousin, Muhammad Firdaus, was a great guy. He did not deserve to die this way. And I hope that for those who did, they get punished as soon as possible, you know, to find out the truth, because that is what we want. That's what I want to know. Because no one deserves to die that way. That's all.